So here's what has been learned after running this for a few hundred miles, getting it broken, and letting the system adjust itself. Pretty much got some settings set up to where it works pretty well. Ended up actually going, I'll go to the advanced setup. Things like the pump squirt, it tells you to start at 25 on the pump squirt and 25 on the power valve. I actually ended up going 18, been fine-tuning a little bit here and there. On the power valve, 20 seemed to do best. It seemed when I did it higher, it was a little too rich, like you could hear backfiring and whatnot, especially with the pump squirt being like 20-25 as they recommend. 18 ended up working out pretty well. Parameters say 15 to 35, but for me with this engine, it's just what it likes. Also, I had to raise the idle as well. When the idle was set in the lower ranges, it just did not want to run right. 850 to 900 seemed to work pretty well, but what I've noticed is idle target doesn't seem to matter. It's completely dependent on how you adjust the throttle blades. So you can put 900 here and it won't even be that on the car. I don't even know why this setting's on here, to be honest with you. What I ended up doing was, though, throttle blades, pretty much the manual was kind of right. I think I opened the rear one a little less than the front one, and result was a nice smooth running car. When it's in gear, it idles at around 850, give or take. It kind of fluctuates, but when it's in park, you'll see it around 1250, which isn't uncommon, but it seems a little high when it's in park, but it runs phenomenal when it's in drive, reverse, and all that. So really smooth, no issues, real smooth on the highway, lots of power. Until I started playing with the settings, I noticed I was a little down on power. But then once I adjusted with the power valve or the pump squirt, and actually got it taking less fuel on throttle, it kind of picked up. It was running too rich early on. But that's the main gripe. Now, I don't know if this will be the same on every vehicle, but I did find out on the 66 Mustang, what this box does is you have power that I wired to the ignition switch like the manual states. When you run the wire straight to the ignition switch, just like the manual says, you will not be able to start this car without touching your throttle. What it does is when you put the in run, fuel pump runs. When you start it, it keys off the power to the box. So what it does is if you crank it over, if it immediately starts like it always does, it immediately cranks up. But it'll immediately shut off because it no longer has fuel and there's nothing, no spark or anything. But the second, if you give it some fuel, it'll shoot fuel in there, which will get it running. Then if you when you put it back to the run, let go of stop starting it, everything turns back on, gives it power, the pump starts running, and it'll run. So it is impossible to start this car without putting your foot on the gas pedal. And if you run the wiring as it says in the manual, you cannot run it straight to the ignition switch like it says, or you will have like I said, a no start without throttle. And it's not really that big of a deal, but that's kind of why you get fuel injection to make easy starts. What I ended up doing was wiring a toggle switch in. You wire a toggle switch in, so you give it power, ground it, and then run the other wire to the box. No more issues. Starts up first try every time. Nothing is wrong now. So just be forewarned, I don't know if that's on every vehicle, but at least on the 65, 66 Mustang, you will have a no start condition, or at least without throttle, if you wire it exactly per the manual. So just be prepared to put in a toggle switch, dead man switch, whatever you want to call it. That will actually get this thing running and firing up instantly for you every time without touching that throttle. This is just what's worked for me. I've got a couple hundred miles on it. It runs fantastic. Runs very smooth, even with the kind of lopey cam on the stock engine. It does run great. I would recommend doing your own thing, but if you want to do this, I can't say I would go with this brand again. If I did it again, I might try maybe a different brand like Holley or something, but for now, this was a decent install. It's easy to do. It took me maybe, I don't know, probably 3 to 4 hours, but be prepared for some growing pains and probably about 10 times that length in adjusting and tuning. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, best of luck in choosing your fuel injection system.